All right, YouTube, so I have had multiple people ask me what was going on with this teardrop, and two of the main things they asked me about were the power and also back there, the AC. So I'm gonna do a short video here. This thing is complete. We've already camped in it. My parents have camped in it a couple times on a couple different trips. So I wanted to do a quick video to show how those two things ended up, the main aspects of them, and how they worked out. So behind me here, you will see three separate compartments in the bottom of the teardrop. This is the venting system for the AC. This is a cabinet that actually has pots, pans, and all that, but there's a vent behind that. And here is where our cooler sits inside of this compartment. So that's your three main compartments there underneath the back shelf. Up here you have shelves on the right hand side and in the center. We also have a shelf or a little cubby hole here, and then you've got your electrical, all of your electrical connections for the back are here. Let me show you those. So inside our main connection here, we've got a power outlet that we can use back here to plug in just random things, lights or whatever we want to. We've actually got a 12 volt USB connection here that also gives us our voltage. There are online calculators that you can use to look that up that will tell you the state of charge for your particular battery. Most batteries, as a general rule, you don't want to run them past 50%, because if you do, you risk damaging the battery, and then the battery won't last as long. Inside of that, we made this on a little fold down door, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who are going to love this, and there's a lot of people who are going to hate this, but this is how we ended up doing it. If you think about the teardrop, it is just a big extension cord. Everything is plugged into here. Right now our AC is plugged into here, and I will tell you, if you try to run the AC and the coffee maker at the same time, you will blow the breaker. So we've also been running that stuff just on a separate extension cord, but everything is on a power strip here. The power that is inside the cabin is here. The power that goes to the AC, that is your AC down at the bottom there. Then there's a power plug that goes up front that actually feeds your battery charger in the front. Some people put their stuff in the back and they run it to the back. The only difference there is that if your battery's in the front, your charger's in the back, then you need to run big cables to make that run. If we put it right beside it, then you're using the AC side, the 110 side, the shore power side of the system, to charge that up in the battery box. So that's what we did. Look down here at the AC unit. I will show you real quick inside the camper. If you remember way back, the AC is installed down at foot level, down below the cabinets. These are the cabinets inside the camper, just above the mattress. That looks like it's down low, but it's actually not. It's up. The bottom of the AC unit's about 5 or 6 inches off of the floor, the actual floor of the camper. So key parts of that are incoming and outgoing air on the back side of the unit. This is the side of the unit that you would normally have hanging out the window of your house. So we have vents here. We cut these into the floor. These are just standard vents. You can buy them at the home store. We put black sealant like we did on the bottom of the camper all the way around all of that. We put the vent underneath, and we use some window mesh on top of it that would prevent any of the smaller bugs from getting up underneath here. We did the same thing on this side of it here. I'm not going to show you that because it's behind the drawer, but we did actually leave space, airspace, behind that drawer so that there is venting airspace coming up, just like there is here, going into the unit. I will show you on this side of the unit. So even when our cooler is in here, airflow flows behind here. And I can tell you from personal experience, the air on the inside of the camper gets very, very cold. This is a 5,000 BTU unit, and it will absolutely freeze you out of the inside. So there's no efficiency problems there. There's no dry air, wet air problems. You do need to leave your outside windows open, cracked just a little bit to allow it to run efficiently, but it does work well. Basically what we have here is a sealed box in this entire area. So we've got this part with a vent cut. You'll see here, we put foam around that. That makes sure that the air that comes in here all goes across the back of the unit. There is plywood, really difficult to show it, but there's plywood up top there to seal that box in. And then this door is your access to that. You will see inside of here, this thing is sealed, and we used foam, tube foam, not spray foam, but actually pieces of foam to seal around the unit. We just built a platform there. There's nothing special about that. All this is sealed up just in case you were to get some water here. Dripping off the back of the unit, it's going to go down here. This particular unit has a pan in the bottom of it, and it recycles and throws that water up on the back of the unit. Very, very little water will come out the back of this unit, but if it does, it runs out here and can run down through that. This is all sealed up, pretty watertight, and again, lots of different ways to do that. You could do that with fiberglass and epoxy. You could just paint it if you wanted to, but that's the way we chose to do it. All of this is sealed up because the air that comes off, the hot air, if you ever stick your hand on the back of one of these, you'll see there's incoming air this side. Air goes across the back of the unit and it comes out the unit this way. You want to make sure that air stays separate from this air. That's why we got these areas separated. This side over here is exactly the same as this side, but all the air in the unit that cools the back of the unit comes out the back here and goes down through this hole. So when we close this up, this is sealed up pretty nice and tight. We probably could have did a little bit better job of sealing around this area here up against the door, just to keep this seal surface here and here. But honestly, it does really, really well. So when this thing is turned on, you get air coming in the back here, going in the back of the unit, coming through the unit, and then your hot air comes off the back of the unit and goes down and vents down through that vent there. I think you can see that there. Okay, works extremely well. Can't recommend it anymore. Have not had any issues with it so far. Again, only camped a couple times, but as far as the factor of how well that cools, it does great. So that's it for the AC. That's it for the power back here. All right, so for the box in the front of the camper, you'll remember back in some of the later videos, we had a hole up here and we ran the wires out the front of the camper. We knew that all of our wires going to our navigational lights, to the 12-volt lights inside, were all going to run up here because we wanted to put our battery and our battery charger and all of our connections in this box. So I'm going to show you that. Again, I know there are a ton of different ways to do this, but this is how we chose to do it. If you're not comfortable with this, certainly have someone who is qualified to do the work for you. But we have I believe it's a group 31 AGM battery in the battery box here. If you'll remember in the back, one of the 110 plugs that we had on that power strip, I said would come to the battery charger. It's up here. There's also an extra plug there. We ran that wire underneath the camper with some flexible metal conduit so it's protected. That's wired in there. Our battery charger is here. That's what's plugged into that plug. Okay, the other end of the battery charger goes to the battery, and then we've got basically a battery isolation cutoff switch here, and it's fused here. All of the wires that we ran to the navigational lights are here. That's our navigational part of the system. This goes to our plug, which is a molded plug. I'll put a link to that in the description. Excellent plug that I found on Amazon. I think they're like 25 bucks or so. Those are here. This lets us separate these if we need to and have a tie down for those here. Again, these go to our navigational lights, turn lights, hardtail lights, running lights, all that stuff. These are the inside lights, plugs, 12-volt things that we use for the LED lights in the back, the LED lights inside, any of the USB stuff, any of the things that we want to work off of the battery so that we have usable power sources and lights when we are not plugged in. Okay, the air conditioner will not, on this system, way too much power, different setup, I'm not going to go into that, but the AC will not run off of this battery. Everything else in here will. It runs off the battery charger is plugged in as we need to. We do not have ours set up to charge off of our car. I think with newer cars there's a few issues with that. There are some ways to do that, but we do not have that hooked up. You certainly could do a trickle charger with a solar unit if you wanted to. That's a separate video, that's a separate thing. But that would charge your battery if you were going to be off the grid for more than 2 or 3 days. Okay, this is a Blue Sea 12 volt fuse block. It lets your main ground and main power come in here, and then this particular one gives you 12 different fused connections here. We went home run with all these wires, so that's pretty intense. That's pretty high level there. You certainly could do that with just 1 or 2 circuits if you wanted to. Again, this is your navigational, these are your inside usable lights and 12 volt plugs. You can see down here we've got this stuff. These are your wires that we ran earlier. Your battery box. The battery box is screwed to the bottom of this. This is actually sitting up on some 2x4s, treated 2x4s on a piece of plywood. Plywood is painted with the black fence post paint like we used way back at the beginning of the build to seal up the bottom. So that's about it for the AC and the electrical. Just to give you an idea here, these are the running lights we went with. These are the porch lights we went with. On the inside, we did these simple switches. I'll leave links to all that stuff. Over here, we did these plugs so that you could plug in USB devices. We've got a light up here. We are going to have some USB lights down here underneath that shelf, but honestly, that light right there is plenty enough for the entire cabin. So again, back here in the back, got everything set up back here. These are the tail lights we went with. This is the trailer light that we went back with. There's a light in here that illuminates your license plate. Pretty sure that's a law in most states. And that's about it. Might do one more video. If you got any questions, give me a shout. Also check me out on Instagram, Facebook, as I post other content to those locations that I do not post on YouTube. A lot of the stuff I do, other projects and things, make it to Instagram, but I just don't do complete videos on those. So thanks again for watching.